So, okay, let's start. This time in English because we have visitors from far away, especially on the times of COVID. I can say that even going to your neighboring country feels like a radical act. So I feel really good that you get here and you got here. So, and there's two reasons why you came here. First of all, you are having an exhibition. The exhibition is visible on the windows. And the other reason is the book that I'm holding in my hand. And this is connected to the exhibition. So, we're also recording for the regular artist talk. So that's the reason why we are keeping the content a little bit wider. And we're also recording it. So if you miss something, then you're able to go and listen it on the web page of the gallery. But yes, hello. You all have different functions with reaching to this point that we are having this book in our hands. So maybe you can introduce yourselves and say what was your part in reaching to this goal.
We are 4 jewelry artists and Leonie Vogel, a graphic designer. We have different backgrounds. So I'm from Chile, where I did my goldsmith apprenticeship. The rest is from Germany and have also like different paths that led to jewelry at the end. So you did a Luisa, Werner, Constanza Salinas, Natascha Frechen, and Felicia Mülbaier. So you did a practicum, work apprenticeship in France, and you did the regular German goldsmith apprenticeship and were years in the field before going into the more artistic part. And Felicia comes from the textile trade apprenticeship and then into the jewelry field. And we all met together studying in Idar-Obersteinis. So we were doing the bachelor, Felicia the master's, and we all have this affinity to stone, and that's how we got together. And like if you're studying together and sharing a space, you of course also share ideas and have input into each other's work, and that's how we kind of also got the idea for the exhibition, which is about the work process.
Yeah, and actually this is the second time when we all meet because we also used our virtual advantages and we met also in Zoom once. And one word that I heard many times was word process and how important is the process. So maybe you can little bit lighten the process of reaching to the book, and in that sense, what were the roles?
Yeah, in the beginning, the idea was to have a little booklet or flyer accompanying our exhibition because we had the concept that we developed for an exhibition in Paris. That didn't happen in the end because of COVID, but still, this is where the idea comes from. And then the project was growing and growing, and we luckily had Leonie who joined us and put this all into a really nice publication in the end. And then there was people writing texts for us, like about our work, and it was really nice to also have this new perspective from not one of us, but other people looking on our work and on our artistic process. And we had a photographer who took pictures in the workshop while we were working, and all this comes together in the book.
But the process is so that you prepared all the material and then you gave the whole package to the graphic designer, and then graphic designer saw that, okay, what the hell I gonna do with this thing, and you made this?
Or kind of. So the starting point was also the brochure, like a little project, and it was really happy to join the group. I know Felicia for a long time, and I only get to know those three by now. And then it was this process that we knew that it has to be more than only like a little folder, because the idea behind the exhibition is much more. And I think it's with the photos of Lisa Willinger, it's really that you are in the process and you see how the artists are working. And for me, it was also very important to have all this material because I didn't know them. I couldn't go there because of COVID. So we also had only like Zoom meetings and calls and a lot of data exchange. And for me, it was really great to have all this material and to be free to do something out of it.
But everybody else are daily working with a physical material. And I have also several friends who are working with graphic design, and they always get overwhelmed when they come to my studio and see all those hammers and anvils and all materials, and they can actually touch materials. So what is your relationship with material?
I think I can say like I come a long way, because I just started to join this kind of world, as you can say, during my bachelor degree, because at some point I realized that the graphics, the graphic area is sometimes a little stiff, a little rigid, and so I joined more and more the students from the jewelry and artistic programs, and so I got early in contact with all these questions about material, and in the end I did my bachelor degree on the goldsmith table. It's kind of funny, but I think it's for me it's nothing new, and I'm also really haptic graphic designer, I would say, because I did my master degree in book design, and for me books and publications are also, it's an object, you can touch it, and with the binding there's so much where you can think about. It's not only the paper and it's not only what you do with the pixels, but all the things afterwards. So for me
and it's not just that we gave her all the material, we were really in dialogue with her, and I think you can see it with all the little details, like she mentioned already, the Swiss binding, and then we got the special font just for the project, and there's little details that show that it's not only a book,
it's in her blood.
It's really interesting how bad design can also ruin the content of the book, because I have 2 editions of the same book, and one is so hard to even touch with my hands because it's a very cheap one done in a very lousy way, and the other one is a really good one given out in the Soviet times. It has actual prints inside and so on. So I really feel that if you want to talk about material, then really the material that we touch as a book is so important. So how are you? Yeah, how do you feel about it? Are you satisfied with the result?
So happy. And I think, kind of a little bit about the book and the exhibition. So the concept of the exhibition is the creative process and everything that happens along the way. So we are jewelry makers, but we do not only make jewelry, we also sketch, and you do tryouts, and we work very from the material out. So there are things that happen along the way that don't become finished jewelry pieces, but are finished pieces somehow. And it's so good that Leonie gets that, because then you can really have a conversation on the book and about how to kind of capture that feeling. And really, I think that between Luisa, that kind of checked everything so well, and Leonie, every decision in the book, like everything is a decision in the book. So there's no things kind of happening, but because we forgot. It's really well thought out, I think. Thank you.
And also, it's maybe nice to add that the whole project is like the book is about the process, but also how the process of the project rises as out of conversations and talking to other people. Things happen, like we had Leonie, we had Lisa Fillinger, the photographer, out of this network, and also that for the exhibition here at A-Galerii, we asked an exhibition designer to think about how to make our idea visible, because it's like something completely new for us. So this whole project is about process, but it's also still in process. It's always growing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tried to understand how many wearable pieces of jewelry I can find from this book, and then I understood that there is none, or at least even objects that recognizably could be a piece of jewelry. It has a title, an object, under it. So maybe you could little bit talk about the process itself, like how ideas are created, how your creative process looks like, what kind of steps you're going through, what happens in the studio, what's happening in other places.
I think it's for everyone quite different. Of course, we have like these things which are coming together, as we call notes on the margin, like what's the project about. Things happen while making, objects, drawing, the sketchbook, which is like almost a diary. And for some people, it's walking, from some of us, it's walking every day in the forest, and every day the same street, and seeing, but every day something completely new or different, as you're also blind by something or open up for something. And for another person, it's really like out of the material, only with in a conversation with a piece, and out of that. So I think it's individual, but what makes us together, it's the relation to stone. In different ways of working with stone, and also with different kinds of stone, which are very soft one or very strong one. So,
As I understand, you're all working with a stone.
Yeah.
But how do you comment? What do you have in common, and what do you have different from each other?
Any question? So I think, I mean, when we say stone, I think for people that work with other materials, seem like, okay, they all work with stone. That's what makes it similar. But once you're working with a material, you realize it's very different to work with lapislázuli, that's a very soft stone and colorful, or to work with agate, that it's a hard stone and like very like gray or white or like muted tones. So the process becomes different, and I think what we do have in common is that we work out of the material, like in dialogue with it, like in this back and forth of you have an idea, you make it happen, the material reacts during the working, and then you stop and look and see and say, and then you try something different or going in another direction, and kind of this giving and taking with it.
Because it's not the same thing as working with metal, where you don't have a natural shape, or like it's still a natural material and you have to react on it and pick the right piece for your idea, and then sometimes something happens that wasn't supposed to happen, and then you have to act and react, and yeah.
Some of us putting things by side for a longer time, the other one is like, okay, no, now on a point I only have to finish the one. So another one said, no, I need to finish 5 by the same time. Otherwise, it's like only the whole imagination and pressures in one piece. So that's also like the variety, and also what is coming with us when we're talking about like giving someone else's idea and working process to another person. Like go step by side of your process. Just think about how another person would do it, or I would imagine to do it. Ah, yes, you're right. I didn't think about that. So to give the help also to each other.
Yeah, that's an important point of our processes, I think, interaction, communication, and that's why we did the whole project.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I come myself from the background of blacksmithing, then usually we have done those interviews in the studios of the artists. But as we cannot afford buying everyone a ticket and coming there, then yeah, maybe you can a little bit describe what is your working environment, because Idar-Oberstein is really unique school also, and it needs a kind of strong personality to stay there for a long time. And in the same time, I have heard several people who say that it kind of swallows them, like Patricia Dominguez, who said, like, yeah, and I'm still here, and I told you 5 years ago that I'm going away, but no. So little bit about the environment where you work.
Yeah, so I would say Idar-Oberstein is really also, like, from the history, the place of stones, and you can really feel it in the vibe of the city, and also about the people who are living there. So every second door you can ring a bell and there is someone working with stones, and I think this enriches the whole environment also. And then of course there is this fusion of different cultures and the interest of stones coming together in the university, and then all this exchange of thoughts of different backgrounds, and yeah, like this love for stones. So I think this is really the magic of this place, and maybe why people also get stuck there, because you can find the essence of.
And you can't do anything else than working.
Yeah, I can relate quite well, because I studied myself in Steneby College, which is under Gothenburg University, and I think it's even smaller place than Idar-Oberstein. So yeah, but you're mentioning the magic of stones, and one question that I have asked also from other people is that when does a piece get the soul, or how do you relate with this material? Maybe it already has a soul, but in that case you shouldn't do anything with it, but you still do. You decide to scratch it, carve it, drill it, polish it. So when, for you, an object gets a soul? And also that's a question about a book. Like when it is something charismatic, and when it is just a pile of, I don't know, timber.
I think while we are making, as we said, it's like it's out about a book, a lot of things happen. And out of this, it's very hard, of course, we work with a stone. Sometimes we have to take away, maybe in the beginning, like the original soul, like we call it maybe aura. Like when it's too beautiful, we have to drill something, we have to really harsh to come to the point where we bring our aura into the piece. And I think, or we think that while maybe it's lying around next to other pieces, as you're not able to put it away, so it's always coming back to the table, it's always somewhere there, and you're getting the feedback. So people are also curious that you realize that there is something which is more speaking than something else. So out of this and out of the process. Yeah. But not only from not from the original stone. It's our action in a piece.
And I think what happens in the case of stone about a piece having an aura, or you have like a special relation to it, is because you spend so much time with it. I mean, working with stone takes a lot of time. So you have to sit there and grind it, and the water, and it's a very long process. So you spend a lot of time with the pieces you make, and somehow, and you really get to know them. You know how the stone is, and where the crack is, and where you glue it or not glue it, or where it broke, and then you kind of hit away how it broke, but you know it was there. So you get in a very close relationship to it. And I think also this kind of working with stone, or like this way of working with this kind of material, somehow translates to other materials as well. That my way of working with wood, so for example, has changed since I'm working with stone, which is interesting to me at least.
Yeah, it's interesting because also as a person who works with iron, I can say that working with iron is never a love story. It's more like a love affair, or even more, I would say, love and hate relationship without love, but you're still so in love with it. So I know several stone carvers, and I know this moment when they have worked on a piece for a week and then crack, and it's gone. Like a work of a week goes just boom with 1 second.
And this piece was there for such a long time. It was, yeah, you have been making it and you have been thinking, maybe some of them are thinking only about this piece, some others are going with their mind somewhere else. So it's there. It's like what the last weeks happened in your mind is also. Oh, yes. It's, yeah, okay, great, good. Go for a coffee.
Yeah, but sometimes, like from this point where there is a crack happening and all your imaginations of this piece, how it's going to look like, is destroyed, and the piece is destroyed, then sometimes, like at least in our process, we take a break ourselves on working, and then we rethink the process of cracking, what happened to this piece, and also how the piece has changed. And then sometimes we find another way of including this like natural happening of the crack into the further process. So, I mean, sometimes it takes years to continue working on this piece. Sometimes it never gets to another point, but sometimes it can open doors to other perspectives you have never thought of and possibilities.
Yeah, I once saw one documentary about Chinese filigree makers, and they were soldering the whole piece in one time, but preparation work took at least 1 month. But there was a really high chance that you just melt everything. And the interviewer asked, like, how do you feel when you just destroy the whole work of a month with just 2 seconds? And he told that it's all about building a personality.
Yeah, it builds character for sure. Yeah, my tolerance for frustration is much higher now.
But maybe, yeah, about the books, because with a piece, it's much easier. You always see how it develops. But then, for you, this project is most of the time in the computer. And then one moment you go and you open the box and ta-da, you see if you're satisfied or not. How is your relationship with the soul of an object?
I mean that point when the book is coming from the printer and from the bookbinder and it's done, it's finished, it's ready. It's like really the greatest moment in the process. I mean, I do a lot of pre-printing and dummies and all these kind of things. And I know the feeling of the paper and how the binding will look like and all these bits and pieces I know from testing or from just projects I did before. But in the end, when you see the final object, it's always really exciting because, as you said, you can't see the process from this one digital point to the real point. And I think what's with the aura from books, it's what you said before. When you have a book and you see and you feel that all the bits and pieces which make a book fits together and fits with the topic and the thoughts which should be transported with the book, then it's for me that this is the, as you want to call it, aura or soul.
Yeah, a little bit reminds me, I haven't done any books myself, but I have tried ceramic wood firing. And in this process, it sounds a little bit similar, that you prepare the whole sculpture or a vessel and you do all the crazy work and then you put it to the kiln and you don't know what is happening inside. Usually it takes 1 week to fire the whole kiln, and on the moment you open the door and you can see what is there, this boom, 50 Shades of Brown. Wow. and you're really like super excited about those all 50 shades. So it little bit feels similar.
The book can't break or something when it's at the printer. And if it's something wrong with the book, then it's this is not my professional. It's
The printing.
Yeah, it's the job of the printer, so that's kind of of a relief.
But you also have the only one which is made by hand.
Yeah. We had one proof of the stitch bindings.
And maybe I would ask you a little bit about the bigger background, because in A-Gallery we have a very diverse bunch of artists, because when this gallery was created already 26 years ago, then people who created the gallery are now in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they have nothing to do with international contemporary art jewelry world. Also, we have people who are jewelry designers very specifically, because we have a limited amount of places where we can exhibit. So who are not making conceptual pieces, but they are doing really, really good jewelry works. So what is your this kind of context? What is the cradle where you developed your personality?
So, how you translate to English and German? It's like the contemporary jewelry world bubble. So it's kind of like a meeting of of jewelry and art, or of crafts and art. So kind of applied arts, and what, at least me, and when we were talking about it, we kind of agreed on this, like the fascination also with jewelry, or how we got into it, is because there is something very exciting about being able to wear art and to have this body relatedness all the time. So, and we were commenting with Felicia, even when she makes objects, or any one of us, the objects have also this body relatedness, because somehow this jewelry background, or this thinking about the body, and is very present. It's like extra material on the table almost, and I don't know if that was the answer to the question, but it's.
I think Luisa said it very nice, that it's not only.
Yeah, once you have the body in there, it's not only the body for me or for us, it's also other human beings, and that's how you relate, and it's kind of a more touchable, more interactive form of art, and it's more intimate and more immediate.
Yeah, it can be quite interesting, because I know several contemporary artists who are starting with jewelry just because it's jewelry, and you as a jewelry artist are trying to escape jewelry, and you make objects because you make jewelry.
Yeah, I think also maybe labels are holding us back in this particular setting of trying to differentiate where is the line between art and design, and between design and craft, and between art and maybe it doesn't matter that much if it's like, if someone considers it, oh, this is very nice design, I'm like, yes it is. Oh, it's super nice art. Yes, it is. Like it's, but is it talking to you? Like, do you feel approached, or do you have this interaction with the piece? And kind of that is the important thing. Less about I got into the art world.
Also, sorry, it's just in our studying system, it's allowed to have time and to take yourself the time to really come to the point, and to get questions, and to come again and again and again to a point where this point is coming again and again. Why is it coming? Why? What is happening? And this is very important, that we get offered this time to reflect and to improve ourselves.
Yeah, because it's always been intriguing question, where is the line between fine art and applied art. Sometimes I feel that jewelry bubble is like a sanctuary for the measurements of jewelry, because once I saw a group exhibition where they had bigger paintings and sculptures, and then they had one jewelry artist, and this jewelry piece, which was really, really good, totally vanished in between those big paintings, and I felt that it doesn't get the attention that it actually needs. It doesn't work there.
But that sounds more like bad design planning of the exhibition. Because I think it can really go well together in one exhibition, that you have paintings and jewelry, and it can work very well if the space is kind of distributed in a good way, which is not something I am good at. So
I just experienced a curator. She asked different kind of artists, and I was the only jewelry maker. And she was shy, but in the end she was like, I'm so happy to invite you. It's like, it's working so well. And all of the visitors like, oh, why is art jewelry not related to the fine arts? Why are you always hiding? It was like, that's not our problem. We would like to be there, but it's like, no, you're making jewelry. You're not allowed to enter our exhibition.
But in the Kai Museum with the Triennale, it works very well. It's like there are 3 jewelry artists, and also like this big sculptures, and it's applied arts, but also, I don't know, fine arts together, and it works seamlessly well, even if it's small pieces in comparison to the other ones. They don't fall under.
You need to give them the space, even if it's small pieces. And I think that's a problem, that people think it's really a tiny piece and it doesn't need that much space. But we see it a lot, that jewelry needs space, and that sometimes you can put one little piece on a table and it fills it. Yeah.
The aura, the soul.
When you're talking about this international art jewelry bubble, as we have started to use this word, like art jewelry bubble, because in this world everybody knows each other, and even if this world is hundreds of people big, then we still kind of recognize.
In German universities, like, they got all quite often called the Schmuckis, like the jewelry makers in the academy. So there's always like, you have to go to the Schmuckis in the workshop. So there you find the glue or something. We're like, okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, but with that, it's also interesting when I'm thinking about identity, or you are quite common group, but quite often it happens that every person on the group exhibition is coming from a different country. So probably Chile is the farthest away from others.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, but how do you feel yourself? What is how to say, global about your artworks, and what is personal in your artworks? Because you're relating to a bigger picture, I understand.
I think it doesn't matter so much where we come from, but where we studied and what influences we got. And yeah, of course, there's something like family background, cultural background, and things like this. But then we meet all in Idar-Obersteinis, and there's so many people from different cultures and countries. But we find a common point in working with stone and this unique approach to jewelry and to material, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, somehow, yes, for me, I would not say it's not important where I come from. I mean, I do in my work, like cultural identity is very present and very important. And maybe also I feel it more because I'm not at home. So because you're further away, then you're alien to that space. But also most of the students are. So that kind of brings us together again. And but this approach to jewelry, this more artistic approach, I did learn there. So this way of working kind of brings us together.
And also, as we realize, like all the things we are making and we are showing here in the exhibition are these objects, the things which happen beside. It's going to be discussed during studying, and you're going to create it after graduation still. But then it's always just going to the drawers. And there's so much things we talked about. There's so many steps beside. Why should they live their lives in the drawers, hidden in a box or something? And also, as Connie said, for example, she could never work with lapis lazuli. It's for her. It's so much home related, and for me, it's like it's such a neutral material. Why do we have a problem with that?
As a context, we don't have a lot of stone in Chile, but we do have lapis lazuli. So for me, lapis lazuli is like, oh, home. So it's like very identity related, like very together. So if I try to work with it, it seems it's too much. So it's like it's too on the nose of what I want to say if it's about identity. But someone who doesn't have that context works with it freer. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like a really thick bunch of layers that you cannot separate from each other.
Yeah.
Like, where is the layer of Constanza's jewelry? Where is the layer of Chilean jewelry? Where is the layer of good old German Otto Künzli's direction of jewelry? Where is Teos Met's specific this kind of Idar-Obersteinis layer? Yeah, but do you feel that those layers are separatable, or it's just such a thick mass that it's becoming like clay?
Maybe I think different schools do have different focuses or different targets, but that's why we chose somehow, I think, a place where we all had like the same towel was taking us there. Because it's like another school would be different. You wouldn't have the time, or you would not have every 2 weeks a conversation. In other schools, you have like once a month or once in a year.
And I think, but I don't think you can separate it. I cannot disassociate myself from being Chilean, or from being a woman, or from having studied, or my experiences, or having a bad day and breaking the stone. Like, you cannot separate from that. It's part of what makes you at the end. And the conversations.
Yes.
The good conversations.
And I think like the focus you put in your work is more important. Of course, you can see the connections maybe to the place you have studied, or where the jewelry bubble got influenced by like those important people you mentioned. But this you have to accept anyways. But then you focus on yourself and what's important for you and for your work to go in the future to do other steps.
And maybe I would ask you, you already mentioned once body and how important body is for you. And thinking about jewelry without the body, it feels like something abandoned. And how do you feel about that? Because your pieces stand without body. They are exhibited on the windows. So what is your relationship between object and body, and how important it is? Because a lot of those pieces are not wearable. They are maybe holdable. But also, when you can hold something, maybe it's already a piece of jewelry. I don't need to have a hole in it to put it on my finger. I can just also hold it in my hand.
So I would say, like, for example, for my pieces, there is also the topic of body. So it doesn't mean that it actually needs to get attached to the body, but it's the idea of body, the translation of the essence, or about some parts of the body translating into material. So there is also a body relation, or can be a body relation in objects you don't even want to touch. So this also communicates with the body that you don't want to touch with your body. So you can also play with this idea of jewelry. What is jewelry? What is an object? And what is body relation?
And there is this maybe like physical body of I put this on, and then it's wearable. And I don't know. There was this like installation on the street of like jewelry for buildings. So there was like a building wearing a necklace, which of course I cannot wear because it's huge. Like it's a building, but you see the body. You can imagine there's an imaginary body there wearing the necklace. In this case, the building or a giant, because you know a necklace goes around your neck and you see the body. So there's like this abstract, invisible body that is there, and if you can communicate that, hopefully, then the physical body is not necessary. And I mean, yes, in our exhibitions there's jewelry and there's also objects of what happens in the process of tryout of does this even work? Yes, it does, and it looks beautiful. We will keep this and show it at some point. So, and the body then kind of not comes in later. It's kind of parallel to that.
Yeah, I already got the godly sign that I need to start wrapping things up because another event is starting soon. But for the last question, of course, I want to know about your future. Is it something you did for this time that you just came together, 5 of you, and now you all continue your own path, or where can we see your works next? Are you planning to do something together, and how you think your team will continue?
Yeah, so as this project is about process, the process is going on. So we have other exhibitions already planned. For example, the Deutsches Goldschmiedehaus in Hanau, so the German goldsmithing house. In October, there will be an exhibition, and then also in Berlin in January in the Museum of Arts and Crafts. We will have another exhibition, and then let's see how the process will go on and how it's going to develop, what projects in between we're gonna merge together, and yeah, it's still in the process.
And when will come out the next book?
When she has time for us.
When this one is sold out, so.
Yes, so that's a good thing for all of you. When this book is sold out, we will get a new one. So please do something about it. Okay, and applause for you.